Oh, what happened here? Huh. Alrighty. A balmy 68 degrees, 5 degrees cooler than yesterday in the morning. I just want to point out these 3 containers this morning. Kind of interesting how to empty them. I had to turn each one over into a bag, put them in my wheelbarrow, wheel them through the house because I have my gate kind of blocked off for privacy, and into the garbage they went. Proven winners, hydrangeas, all 3 of them. And I'll tell you what. Good morning. I smell rain. I smell rain. You know that smell. Oh, it's wonderful. Alexa says we don't have rain today. Somebody's having rain today near us. I smell rain. It's 5 degrees cooler right now than it was at this time yesterday morning. But that smell, I did see lightning in the distance yesterday, which is not great because we're having additional wildfires close to us on the base at Fort Huachuca, so that's, what, 6 miles away? Don't want to see that. A lot of these fires appear to be happening at the base of the mountains. I wonder why. I think it's a coincidence, really. They're starting because it's hot and windy and something's starting them, but yeah, so I saw lightning in the distance yesterday. There was some rain, in a town, near a town called Wilcox, which is 30 miles away. But that lightning, along with the dryness and the wind, no on that. I'm gonna show you my single ripening Cherokee purple, but I'm embarrassed to note that I've got some things that are just bedraggled and I've gotta tie them up because they're about to take this thing over. That's so funny. I don't know when that happened either. I don't know if I had wind in the night. Why else would my pillow have been knocked over? Oh, there's my tripod. I better go get that. Look at this cuteness. My little roses are getting together for a little chatty chat. So sweet. Now these just expired in the heat, basically. The blooms did. I mean, the plant is fine. That's so fun right there. First blooms on my crape myrtle tree. I bought this last year on discount. I thought it had multiple color blooms, white, pink, red, but what I think it had was the same thing that the roses do, was faded red that fades to pink and then fades to white, and they're all still on the tree at the same time. But I'm happy to see the blooms on this tree. Here's an overview. I think probably the thing that looks the worst out here is pointing with my coffee, that's the Proven Winners Supertunia Bordeaux, but I believe that came back from last year and it may have been overwatered. I'm thrilled to see I have new bracts on my bougainvillea. The little tiny orange ones will grow larger and turn into kind of a beautiful salmon. Here's a sunflower check, looking so happy, making me happy anyway. Daylilies are doing their thing. I had containers they were beautiful in the containers, but they were just growing too big in the base, if you know what I mean. Am I saying it right? That marigold. It's all about that marigold, isn't it? Sometimes they get so big here. Now, I could plant marigolds in pots all day long to deter whiteflies, and they will keel over and die. I'll show you. There's a marigold I planted, barely hanging in there. There's a marigold I planted, about dead. Planted a few in the raised bed last year because they really took off, but this thing is half dead from whiteflies or spider mites, can't tell. I thought whiteflies didn't like them, but I find whiteflies are on my marigolds all the time. Better than them being on something else. So interesting. And then, just randomly, they'll just take over an entire plant. And I don't mind. This cherry tree didn't do much this year anyway, and I don't think he's really using too much from it. And this one right here. I tell you, I could have planted a marigold right there. Nothing. Crickets. Bumpkus. Good morning again. I did a quick wander around the garden looking at various things. The humidity is at 50%. I don't know whether the sun will burn that off. I do worry that kind of humidity is going to bring mosquitoes. I gotta clean my glass. I've gotta Smudging my glasses here. Grab the coffee. As I mentioned, I asked Alexa, no rain today. I checked the weather, no rain today. I checked the radar, not a hint of rain today, but I can smell it everywhere. It doesn't mean it's probably not up there hanging, it's just not gonna drop it yet. Whatever conditions need to happen for clouds to drop the rain. I should pay attention to you, but you know how it is in a garden, a person just looks around. I went to the store yesterday to get a couple things, and well, Walmart, and more hydrogen peroxide. Gone, out, zero. An entire shelf of hydrogen peroxide empty. They had been selling it at $1. If you need some, check in at your local store. Maybe they have a sale too. I have no idea why. I got the Equate version last time, so I don't really have enough to complete another hydrogen peroxide treatment just yet, until I find some. It's a random thing to be out of, but like the one thing I need. Aren't they always out of the one thing you might need? Yes, the hydrangeas. So when I got the Proven Winners plants, I got 5 for my personal self. I ordered, I believe it was 10 oleanders from my friend, and they came in just fine, and they're doing okay. The 2 Proven Winners roses, the At Last and Ringo, are doing fine. They both looked a little peaked, but I think they were actually growing in the dark, and they just like, I can't do this, I need light. Gotcha. Because it was a long trip, and made longer by the way it got here. 7 or 8 days. The hydrangeas came in green leaves, and they looked healthy, except the very bottom leaves looked dried out, the very bottom ones, so I pulled those off. I did a video on planting them. They got their fertilizer, set them up on drip irrigation. Ultimately, within a couple days, it looked like I might have been overwatering them, so I didn't shut off my inline valve. It went away for a couple days. I can't remember whether I thought I was on, whatever. Anyway, they felt completely dry, and I believe I used the probe. Oh my gosh, I've killed them. So the whole time, the leaves had been burning at the edges, not burning, but crisping. You know, the term burning suggests heat or something. Crisping, browning, and I was like, oh God, this is shock. They were dry, so I got the irrigation back on, and I gave them a little supplemental watering around the edge, not directly on the plant. Ultimately, the stems started turning black. Still saw some new growth, though. I saw new leaves, and I thought it's not over till it's over. So the other day, and I haven't been filming this because it's been a little discouraging. I blame myself, of course. The other day, I cut them all down to the nubbies. I said, it's just not working. I've got to get the black stems out of here. And I saw bugs crawling around the top. Bugs, winged bugs crawling around. Ran to the internet. Oh my God, what is this disgusting thing? I grabbed up some, is it BT powder? Spritzed it around. Back to the internet. What is it? What are little black bugs in the garden? Well, everybody comes up with aphids and weevils, and none of those. There definitely wasn't aphids. I've seen those enough. But what I deduced that they actually were, which really surprised me, is gnats outside. I had fungus gnats in the house. So on the subject of fungus gnats, or any bugs outside, and the yellow sticky tabs, I do have yellow sticky tabs in various plants inside the house. The cute little flowers that are yellow, and they do catch fungus gnats when they start. I also have an ultraviolet light that my friend bought me, a little thing that sits. I sit it right in the pot. I leave that light on all the time, and it gets a lot of little zappers. Well, was it last year or the year before? Last year, I set out a couple yellow sticky traps. I know, you know where I'm going with this, only you'll be more surprised. What happened I set out the yellow sticky trap. I believe it was in the raised bed. You'd be thinking, oh no, you killed a bee. You killed ladybugs. Some wind came up at some point and I didn't pay attention to the yellow sticky trap or traps, and I saw it months later, and there was a desiccated lizard on it, a small lizard. How he must have suffered. I understand that speciesism to worry more about a lizard than it is insects. I get that, but I don't use the yellow sticky traps out here anymore. I do use them in the house. And generally they just get fungus gnats. So I couldn't use those over there on the hydrangeas because I don't dare ever do anything like that again outside. And I hope people understand a lot more things get caught on them than insects. I guess on the same depressing subject, I mentioned the lizard I had last year. Oh, he was a character, and I'll show you photos of him. Although they're kind of, because he's got a cricket in his mouth now. Listen, anything that killed those crickets was my friend. Oh my gosh, those guys. Those crickets overwintered in my greenhouse, my little plastic poor woman's greenhouse. It was awful to go in there and find 2 crickets in there. I was like, God, I hate you, I hate you. So one time he's sitting on the wall, he's got a cricket in his mouth. It's so funny. I mean, not funny for the cricket, but. So he hung out quite a bit, sat on top of the wall, just hung. I have these big trunks. Let's see if I can get. Let's see. So the that one, the one that the little house is on. They were from the tree out front. I did treat them before I put them out here, but I do keep them away from the wood of the house. I was moving it last year to sort through some things, and my bud was underneath. I didn't know he was underneath. Anyway, gosh, look at me. Just so lizards, right? So it was horrible for me personally, for him as well. He suffered a long time. I hoped he would survive. He didn't. I want to be more careful with the big guy here. Plus, if I didn't mention it already, I have another little one that doesn't appear to be, maybe I'm not a lizard expert. I don't know nothing about lizards. I don't think I would have one in my house. But I have a little one. He's got a really long tail and he's a little skinny guy. Now, I don't know whether he's a juvenile of the bigger kind, because the bigger kind are, man, they're hefty. And they've got a blue tinge to them. They're awfully cute from a distance. It's not like I want to, hold him in my hand. But I've got a little one yesterday I discovered, and he's scurrying around one side to the other. Oh, which reminds me, I need to be more careful about what I do. Maybe approach everything, containers, and wiggle it a little bit so whoever's there gets a chance to move. I did say the other day I was watering something and I saw something gray run through into the raised bed, and I thought, there were mice here before I moved in, and there's no assuming that they're not here anyway, but I was like, oh no, please say that's not a mouse. Well, I never saw the gray creature again. He was fast moving, and I sprayed water to see if he would move again, to see what it was. It might have been my little guy, the little lizard. He's so funny. I'm looking around like I can see him. Woo, I am sweating already in the humidity. I hear you all have heat out there as well. I know. Geez, what are we gonna do? Oh, I'm fogging up. What are we gonna do in July and August, folk? Sorry, I'll take the sniffing out. It's from the lizard stories. I don't have any projects today. I actually am going to be busy for a couple days outside of the house. I have a guest coming, so mainly it's going to be watering, getting some things watered, and maybe tying up that one Cherokee purple. Cherokee purple. I don't know why I was saying purple Cherokee. I didn't film the disposal of the hydrangeas. That was a trip. You know, how to get rid of them, how to get rid of all the dirt as well because of the fungus gnats. And I'm sure they were fungus gnats. I watched them, I killed them as they moved. They walked around on the surface. As I emptied the containers, they were pretty wet. So it was from overwatering. I'm not going to go in that direction again anytime soon. They had holes. They weren't draining. I'm not sure really. You know, it's 100 degrees, you want to water your plants. But I see a couple things that look like they think they're overwatered, and I'm like, you're not. It's 100 degrees. You need water. You need to hydrate. It's time for me to go inside. It's time for me to go inside. Thank you for joining me out here. And for me to go inside. Thank you for joining me out here in the garden. I appreciate your company. Bye.